Last video I told you about two sellers. Same property, same 300,000 sale, the same 150,000 gain. But one of them wrote the IRS a check for about 30,000 that year and the other one didn't. I said I wasn't going to spell it out and a lot of you got frustrated with me in that comments for that. Good, that's the whole point. You showed up wanting the answer, which means you're actually going to remember it. Today, here's exactly what seller 2 did differently. A lot of you guessed closed. A few of you nailed it outright. So let's actually open it up. Seller 2 didn't take the full 300,000 in cash at closing. Instead, they carried the financing themselves. Sold the property, but let the buyer pay them over time in monthly payments with interest instead of a lump sum on day one. Here's why that matters for the tax bill. When you take a sale as an installment, meaning you receive the money in pieces over more than one tax year, the IRS lets you recognize that 150,000 gain proportionally as the payments come in, instead of all at once in the year of the sale. It's called an installment sale, and it's been sitting in the tax code for decades. This isn't a loophole. It's an actual published rule under section 453. You can look it up yourself. I'm not a CPA and this isn't personalized tax advice. So please talk to yours before you structure a sale this way. But the mechanic itself is completely real and completely legal. Hi, I'm Mario and my wife Lorena and I have been doing this since 2006. And alongside the real estate, I've spent years working inside corporate finance, watching how institutions structure deals like this every day without a second thought. The gap I keep running into is that regular sellers almost never get shown the same playbook. Not because it isn't closely guarded secret, just because nobody in the room at your closing has a reason to bring it up. So back to the numbers. Seller 2 sells for 300,000. Same 150,000 gain. But instead of 130,000 tax hit next April, that gain gets spread out across however many years the note runs. 5 years, 10 years, whatever term they set. Let's put real numbers on a 5-year spread, since round numbers land better than percentages. Structured that way, instead of 130,000 check to the IRS, you might be looking at closer to $6,000 a year for 5 years. Same total tax, same rules, but you're paying it out of income you're actually receiving that year instead of writing a check against money you already spent on something else. None of this means you walk away with less money overall, either. The note pays interest on top of principal. So over the life of it, you often end up with more total dollars than a straight cash sale, not less. You're just choosing to receive it and get tax on it in a different rhythm. And here's the part that connects to everything else on this channel. When you carry that financing yourself, you're not just deferring the tax bill, you've become the lender. You're the one collecting the monthly payment, secured by the property, instead of the bank collecting it from the buyer. That's what becomes the bank actually means in the simplest form there is. Not buying someone else's note, just not walking away from your own. That note you just created is also a real sellable asset. Say 5 years in, life changes, and you want the remaining balance in cash instead of the monthly payments. That's where the secondary market comes in. You can sell the remaining note, in full or as a partial, to another investor and get a lump sum for what's left, instead of being locked into monthly checks for years you no longer want to wait on. That flexibility is built into the structure from day one. And once those monthly payments start coming in, there's more you can potentially do with them than just bank the interest. That's a deeper conversation, and it's exactly the kind of thing worth having one-on-one, not rushed through in a video. It's worth saying plainly, None of this is guaranteed, and it's not the right fit for every sale. If you need every dollar in cash immediately, carrying financing yourself isn't going to work for you, full stop. But this is a tool, not a rule. Most sellers have never even get told the tool exists, so they never get the chance to decide whether it fits their situation or not. That's the actual problem this video is solving. Not, here's what you must do, but just, here's what you were never shown you could do. And this isn't some fringe strategy either. It's the exact structure behind seller financing that existed in real estate and business sales for generations, long before anyone called it become the bank. Family farms got sold this way. Small businesses changed hands this way, owner to owner, for decades before big financing became the default. What's changed is that most sellers today go straight to the cash buyer or a big lender without ever hearing that the older, simpler path is still sitting right there, available the whole time. If this is the first time you're hearing that a sale doesn't have to end the way that everyone assumes it does, that's exactly the kind of thing we walk through inside the free 5-day Become the Bank Challenge. How this connects to the notes more broadly and what it looks like in practice. No obligation, just the real mechanics laid out clearly. The link is in the description. If you found this useful, please hit subscribe. Every week we're breaking down another piece of this that most sellers never got shown until it's too late to use it. To everyone who commented the guess on the last video, thank you, genuinely. A few of you were shockingly close, and it tells me you already had more of the instinct for this than you probably gave yourself credit for. Keep that instinct. It's worth trusting. If this pair of videos gave you a piece that you didn't have before, please do 2 things for me. Hit like and send it to one person you know who's sitting on a property or a business they're thinking about selling. That's generally how this channel grows. One person handing it to another, not an algorithm. This is the kind of shift that changes how selling feels. Less like an ending, but more like moving into a different kind of ownership. I care about you seeing that clearly, and that's exactly why this channel exists in the first place. If you want to talk through what this could look like for your own situation, that door is always open. I'll see you in the next one.